everyone, my name is Stephanie Helmers and I'm the owner of Zen and Pao Studio and creator of Functional Flow. And the reason I created this style of teaching and training called Functional Flow is just me fusing together my background in fitness and yoga and seeing that the two really aren't that different. Movement is movement, whether we're on a mat or off a mat. And once I started kind of playing around with this concept of movement, I started to bring more functionality into my yoga teachings and my own personal practice. I also realized that creating more functional movement on the mat also made me stronger in the gym and stronger in everyday life. And my clients really loved bringing in more functional movement because they wanted to see the benefits in everyday life as well. So what is functional flow? It's just that. It's being able to bring in movements that we see in everyday life into our yoga practice and building strength for functional movements, especially important as we age, as we go through different phases of life in our bodies, what we do off the mat, because we only spend maybe an hour a day on the mat, if that. So what we do outside of our yoga practice is what is really important, and are we doing a practice that is going to benefit us in everyday life? So I've been teaching yoga for a little over 5 years, practicing for about 10, but most of my yoga practice from the beginning was a very flowy vinyasa style class. And I still love the vinyasa style teaching, and I would say that I still do teach a flow style of practice, but I think sometimes it's hard to figure out how we can bring more functional movement into a yoga practice, but still keep it flowy so people, aren't stopping and starting and we're not getting bored with the movements, and keeping it creative, but also functional. So that's where the functionality of movement in everyday life kind of fuses together with more of a flow. So the class still feels like they're doing a regular yoga practice, but they're getting a little bit more bang for their buck and they're building more strength and functional movement and mobility and all sorts of things that are going to help them off the mat. So this teacher training program is really unique, and basically it's just me taking years of trainings and workshops and learning with different instructors and different teachers, trying things out on my own, trying things out with my students, to kind of create this style of practice that I feel like is the most beneficial time that we could spend on the mat. So it's really a fusion of different teachings and ideas and thoughts and things that I've learned and tried out in my own practice and my own teachings. So it's kind of a compilation of things that I wish I would have learned in my very basic 200-hour yoga teacher training, but it's just kind of getting to that point where we're breaking away from just teaching poses, just teaching alignment, and we're learning more about the body in general. We're learning functional anatomy, we're learning how the body moves, biomechanics, more mobility, stretching, what is stretching, what is strengthening, because there's kind of a controversy over that. How much is too much when we're stretching? And ranges of motion, passive versus active stretching. So I'm kind of just throwing out some terms and ideas of things that we're going to talk about in this teacher training, but if you're unfamiliar with any of those, or you're interested in learning more about functional anatomy and biomechanics and just learning how the body moves, what is an end range of motion, because most poses do go into a lot of end ranges of motion, it's important to know these things and think about them when we're teaching to, whether it's a very basic clientele of people that come in for more of a basic yoga class, maybe it's a more advanced practice, maybe it's more restorative. So depending on what your clientele is, I think that we can make functional movement important and yet challenging for maybe more advanced practitioners, because we're using our body in a different way than just moving through poses. So if you're confused on what any of those terms mean, any of the kind of functional use, feel free to reach out and ask questions. But this is really just a creation of something that I have learned and have applied, and I'm excited to share with other people, because I think we all start from the basics of learning poses, teaching poses. We teach like our teachers, and then we either keep going with that, keep learning poses, refining them, or we start to kind of explore different ways of moving, different ways of doing poses, and getting more creative with our own practice and how can we change this a little bit for the body. Because alignments for poses is very different than anatomy and natural alignment for the body based on anatomy. So that's just one of the things we're diving into, but there's a whole plethora of topics that we're focusing on in this functional flow training. We have an amazing faculty of staff coming in. We have Alexandra Crow, who is a very renowned yoga teacher who has taught all over, will be coming in and sharing her lessons and teachings with us. We have Lori Streff, who is going to be leading more of the anatomy portion, doing the integrated embodied anatomy, and she is a yoga tune-up instructor and also teaches about the yoga tune-up balls, and she'll be sharing with us some hands-on functional anatomy. So those 2 weekends alone are included in this 300-hour training. Then we also have Maria Denota, who is a core strength vinyasa master teacher trainer and a very experienced yoga teacher that will be sharing with us her knowledge in teaching functional movements and making it a more vinyasa style class. And then we're also bringing in some trainers. So we have a personal trainer coming in. We have a massage therapist coming in, sharing information that is useful for us in the whole realm of muscles and myofascia. And then we're also working with a physical therapist who is going to share with us concepts of, injury and how we can bring in some of the movements that you would maybe give a patient who's working through an injury, and how we can just kind of start to incorporate those into our practice, whether we're working with a population of injuries or not. It's great to have those sort of strengthening areas of expertise being able to share with us what we should be doing to warm up the body and dynamic movement and prevent injury and keep the body moving in a healthy way. So there is a lot of information to come, and we're going to do some Q&As coming up, so make sure to stay tuned for those. Feel free to reach out to me, asking any questions. Take a look at the rest of our video content. We'll be posting more video content coming soon, but I just wanted to kind of share with you what functional flow is, why it's important, how we can start to bring this more into our teachings and into our own practice, who is going to be part of this training, and just kind of my why is because I've had plenty of injuries myself. I had a really bad shoulder dislocation. I'm extremely hypermobile, which causes most of my injuries in my ankles and in my feet and my elbows and wrists. So for me, this functional flow is essential because I will continue to hurt myself if I'm not aware of my hypermobility, how I can build strength in poses versus just stretching beyond my limits of where I should be going. And just bringing that awareness that not every yoga practice needs to be really advanced. Even if you can do advanced poses, it doesn't always mean that you should. So bringing more awareness to that, and that's really my passion. And building strength. I'm a huge strength trainer. I love lifting weights. I love bringing those concepts into the yoga practice as well, and just helping people see it as an overall picture. Movement is movement. Whether it's poses, exercises, whatever you want to call them, it's all movement. So I'm very excited for this upcoming teacher training, and I hope you join us. Please reach out if you have any other questions. Have a great day.